Hitman's army is ready to make it count and seize the day.
Day 4 of the ultimate test could very well prove to be decisive for Team India. They've managed to keep their head above the water, but now it's time to swim to the shores. Can they pull off the impossible? Can they achieve the unthinkable? We believe so, because I'm with a league of extraordinary gentlemen who've been there, done that. Welcome to Jindal Panther Cricket Live. We've got Ravi Shastri, Harbhajan Singh, Sunny Gavaskar and Matthew Hayden in the house. Let me start off by asking you, Ravi, the Gaba test. When we breached the Gaba fortress in 2021, you were there in that dressing room. We could hardly put together a playing 11, but we went there and we achieved the impossible. What were the conversations like in the dressing room?
I mean, that's exactly what you've got to do. 50, 375. Beyond that, will be a tough ask.
What would be your message to the boys?
Well, just go out. Just think that this is the biggest hour for you. It's not 2 hours now. It is this 1 hour. In this 1 hour, if you can take about 3 wickets, 3 or 4 wickets, and then give yourself, it's still going to be difficult, but 375, 350, 360, you never know. If you see the new ball through, the pitch flattens out, you never know.
We also have Nazir Hussain who joins us on the show. Who do you think will stand between India and the WTC title, Naz?
I think the new ball burst, basically. It looks like a new ball pitch now, and with the likes of Cummins and Stark and Boland, that previous games, that top order really have to stand up for India. They've done it in the past. This is the biggest occasion, the biggest challenge. Can they do it in the next 2 days?
Harbhajan Singh, 2001, we have to talk about that test. What were the conversations like with Dada before you went out there? Because the situation looked dire. You were clutching at straws. But what made you believe that you could pull it off?
Well, it is, and you have to just go out there and explore yourself and express yourself. Keeping things simple, one ball at a time, whether you're a batter or a bowler. Do those small things right. The bigger result will be chased later on. So I'll tell all the Indian bowlers, just go out there, first hour, make it count, and then as Ravi Bhai mentioned, 350, 360 is possible.
Very quickly, Sunny Ji, if there's anybody who knows how it is to bat in the 4th innings in these conditions at the Kennington Oval, it's you. What would your message be for the boys?
Well, I think, as Ravi said, get those early wickets.
At times, I've got to say, right, just heard Harbhajan talking about 2001, and already my feet are bleeding from the amount of time we spent there in our team bus on that particular day at Eden Gardens, and Michael Slater has this full box of cigars that he thought Australia is going to win on this day, and the irony of it is, of course, is that we just got punished. That partnership will forever go down in one of those incredible experiences.
But so will your double century in Chennai. That will go down in history as well. But Team India today will be hungry for wickets. They will be hungry to come out on top. We know it's lunchtime back home, which is why we have a full-plated menu coming your way. So much to look forward on the show. Australia have a lead of 296 runs, but day 3 was all about how India managed a fight back. It was about Ajinkya Rahane's resilience, Shardul Thakur's courage, and the bowlers that backed it up with a punch. If you missed out on any of that action, here's a quick recap to bring you up to speed.
At the crease.
India started the day with 151 for 5, but ended with 296 thanks to 100-plus partnership stand, a record partnership stand between Ajinkya Rahane and Shardul Thakur. Sunny, how pleased were you to watch that fight back from India?
Very pleasing, because it looked at that stage that India could be knocked over for not too many. But to see that spirit that they showed, that they were willing to take the blows on the body, but still hang in there, wait for the scoring opportunity. After that, they, once they settled in, they played some glory.
Round in these conditions.
I mean, anything above 375, even at an oval cricket ground, is a tough ask in the last innings of a test match. So I reckon that's around about the cut-off. You never know with this Indian side. They've shown so much character. That's the reason they're here, is because of the character and the fight. They have to see off that new ball. If they see off that new ball threat, it does get easier. And also Nathan Lyon, Jadeja's spinning it, but he's spinning out of the rough for the left-handers. There's only one left-hander in this Indian side, and that's Jadeja. 10 right-handers, so Lyon has to be bowling in areas where at the moment there's no rough. Stark might create a bit. They've got to see off that new ball, whatever the chase is. Remember, Australia have to win this game, otherwise the title is shared. So they may declare and give India not a chance, but they've got to give themselves time. They can't bat too long.
But you spoke about that one left-hander in the playing 11 of the Indian contingent. He is the man in focus, the #1 ICC Test all-rounder in the world. Ravindra Jadeja is our Maruti Suzuki player to watch out for. The man who hit the winning runs in the IPL final and helped CSK secure that victory, and I'm sure Heroes was happy about that, but he has been doing some damage with the ball at the Oval as well. He picked the wickets of the 2 centurions from the previous innings. How do you think he will trouble the Aussies today?
I was a little surprised, to be quite honest, when I looked down at that wicket this morning, and I mean, yes, there's a bit of rough that's existing from those right-hand fast bowlers, but I didn't expect it to turn probably quite as prodigiously as what it did. So he's going to be in play, there's no question of it. I mean, Aussies at this stage as well, they were teetering, weren't they, last night? They were thinking to themselves, we've just basically got to get through to the end break. But now with a fresh day, fresh wicket and an older ball, and talking to Steve Smith, he said after that new ball, he felt very comfortable. So it's almost a wicket in 2 types here. It's a new ball which tends to bounce up and the old ball that's staying down. So from an Australian perspective, already 296 in front, I reckon they'll probably throw caution to the wind and look to attack someone like Jadoo as well, which won't be easy, but that'll be Team Australia's objective this morning.
All said and done, today, day 4 of the WTC final promises to be spectacular. We are on the cusp of history, and every time these 2 teams, India and Australia, face off against each other, there's always some rivalry involved. So we put a spin on things and try to build up a rivalry between our commentators. Let's see how that went down. Well, we'll have to congratulate Matthew Hayden. High five there, Hayden. But I'm sure that's not going to be the case on the field today on day 4 of the WTC final. Sunny, disappointed?
Yes, but when you look at it, it once again boils down to the selection of the Indian team. The terrible selection.
Fantastic. We're going to continue our conversations as we build up to the day 4 of the WTC final, where world #1 India faces off against world #2 Australia. It promises to be a spectacular day. Don't go anywhere. Quite the personality, man, is Labuschagne, who will shoulder most of the responsibility. But just talk about the character that he is. We saw him in a zen-like position, which is probably one of the funniest moments of yesterday, even though all the action was on.
In any dressing room, let alone an Australian dressing room. Oh, here we go. Up we go. We're ready to get on there. That's unbelievable stuff.
Queenslander?
South African.
No one. Queenslander.
Queenslander, yeah. Sorry.
You see that expense.
Has it happened to any of you before? Has that happened to any of you before?
Never.
You've been snoozing and the camera's got you.
I couldn't go to sleep.
We opened
Michael Atherton batting. No way.
Exactly.
Sunny?
I used to sleep in the moment I got out, so it was the other way around.
Yeah.
Obviously, for Team India, they will be looking to dismiss him early, and they'll turn to Shami and Jadeja, who have a good record against him.
They do. I thought he gutsed it out pretty well yesterday because it is uneven bounce. Haydos talks about a new ball pitch. He was up there early again against that new ball. He had to wear a few. Siraj bowled brilliantly, and Siraj and Cummins from the pavilion end have got the ball to rear up. But that is Labuschagne, for all his quirks and all his idiosyncrasies, a gutsy cricketer as well. His record in England, him and Smith, their record in England are phenomenal. And in England, up the top of the order, you need a bit of luck. But I'd imagine you'd go one out of Siraj and Shami this end, and maybe start with spin that other end in Jadeja.
Hannes Labuschagne is currently batting on 41, and he has been a thorn in India's side in the past. So obviously the Indian contingent will look to get him out at this point in time. But Deep Das Gupta gives you a play-by-play on our DBS Bank game plan as to what they'll do about it.
Game plan.
Marnus Lavashane will be out there in the middle today with Cam Green, who does boast a good record against India. He picked up 100 against them recently, but what will India's plans be for this 23-year-old? Let's find out on our game plan.
All he can field, they're three key elements to an all-rounder. But I think what he really does in the Australian cricket team, Nas, is he unlocks the potential of Australia that love to play three quicks and one spinner. You know, even with Todd Murphy now emerging as the replacement should and when Nathan Lyon retire, you're still going to have always a fast bowling battery in Australia. That all-rounder role has been key over the years to Australia. It's not only about how much wickets he can take, but it's also those efforts in the field that we saw yesterday. He's a dynamic athlete, and that's why he's such a prized and sought-after item, you know, within any IPL franchise, now Mumbai Indians. And Rohit Sharma would be just licking his chops knowing that he's got him, you know, for a long time to come.
Exactly. Just a couple of weeks ago, he was Rohit Sharma's go-to man, one of the go-to men, in fact. So do you think that gives the Indian captain an edge into dismissing early?
No, I don't think so. Completely different format. You find out about the character of an individual, so you may see things in his character you want to work on his ego maybe. I don't think he's got much of an ego, so that's not a road you go down. I thought how they got him out in the first innings. If you're asking me, how do you get Cameron Green out? You bowl length just outside off stump. He likes a beautiful cover drive to get away, and if it's moving, keep your slip cordon in. But he's going to be dangerous this morning because he can score quickly. That's where the IPL might come into it. If he goes out there and smashes a quick 50 or 60, that takes the game away from India.
Look, India will be willing and ready to send him back to the pavilion, but how can they get around to doing that? Steve Dasgupta has all the answers.
Detailed ground report.
A crucial day for Team India on day 4 of the WTC final. Ravi Shastri joins us on Jindal Panther Cricket Live. Australia lead by 296 runs. Now, what would be the target that India will be comfortable with in these conditions at the Kennington Oval?
I think ideally from India's point of view, already Australia have got a lot of runs. I would say 70-30, the game in their favour. But if India have to entertain any thoughts of, you know, even thinking of a win.
You'd see there, someone like Alex Carey has got some question marks, so he'll have to answer because Jaddu will extract that little bit of spin and bounce out of that rough area that the right-arm fast bowlers have played. Ultimately, I think at the moment it's all Australia's to lose on this day. I mean, unless something horribly goes wrong with the Australian batting mindset and also in the field, drop catches, just really poor bowling, it's going to be very, very difficult for Australia to lose the grip on India in this test match. So lots has to go wrong.
Right, we definitely need something special from the Indian pacers at this point in time. But there's one man who is always uber confident with respect to his skills and ability. Lord Shardul Thakur speaks to us ahead of day 4. Rishad.
Guys, and the holding job will have to be done by someone like Shardul. He bowled well yesterday. After being peppered and hit all over the place, he came and bowled a tight little spell. I mean, that's his job. But you'd expect Siraj and Shami to do most of the damage. Don't forget Jadeja. I think bring him into the mix. You know, he'll have to bowl quite a bit from one end.
What kind of lengths and lines do you expect from the bowlers today? What would their game plan be?
Generally, I sense that Team India's bowling unit was a fraction short in the first innings. Now that I think the ball's got a little bit older, it's about a tricky blend between conserving run rate and looking for wickets. If you think back to the Australian bowling efforts, I think they came chasing wickets, and that allowed Ajinkya Rahane and Lord Thakur to just take advantage. You know, so it's about a combination of patience. I think they have to be full. That's the same.
Session 1 on day 4 of the ultimate test yielded 78 runs and 2 wickets. Will India be happy with that? Let's ask our experts on Jindal Panther Cricket Live. Sunny and Naz join us on the show. Sunny G, the Indian bowlers fought hard, they toiled hard, they bowled the right lines and lengths. Would they be content with this performance at the end of the session?
Not quite, I would imagine that they would have wanted to get a couple more wickets, even if they conceded 70 runs as they have done. I think a couple more wickets would make them certainly have a much better lunch.
All you can be in control of is how you do every session. I thought India are pretty good in that session. Since they let Australia get 480 in the first innings, they've been playing catch-up cricket throughout the test match.
Okay, but Saniji, what particularly impressed you about India's bowling today? They were able to contain the flow of runs. They picked up a couple of wickets. Could they have done anything better as well?
Well, obviously, if they had got a couple more wickets, it would have been...
Definitely gone ahead with their plans. But let's talk about Cameron Green. We always knew that he would spell a bit of trouble for the Indian contingent. What did you think about his innings before he lost his wicket?
They bowled pretty well at him. He looks a really controlled, compact player, really. Sometimes you get trying to kick Shane out of the rough and you'd get into some very difficult positions. Batters been bowled behind their legs, batters been bowled through their legs, and in the end Jadeja bowled him that ball and he didn't know whether to leave, play, and he dragged it onto his stumps. It is a skill, just kicking it away out the rough.
Yeah, those 25 runs seem to be very crucial because he stitched together a 43-run partnership with Alex Carey as well. Just what the Aussies needed to keep it going.
Exactly. Because at that stage, a wicket had fallen early. Then India could have run through the tail, as they call it. But that didn't happen. Because with Labuschagne, that was a big wicket. Wonderful delivery from Umesh Yadav. Big wicket. So at that stage, India would have been saying to themselves, right, let's get one of either
belongs to Ravindra Jadeja, the #1 all-rounder in Test. Once again spun his magic and dismissed Cameron Green.
He did all round. He won't give up. These conditions now suit him as a cricketer. First innings there wasn't much there for him as a left-arm spinner, but he's getting into his magic now.
Exactly. As the final progresses, he's getting more and more lethal, isn't he, Saniji?
He is. I think with every match, he just seems to get better. He's getting more and more confident about his ability to do everything. Earlier on, he was mainly a bowler who could bat. Now he's got Test hundreds under his belt. So he knows that he can contribute. And that's the reason why he's been promoted up to #6. Before that, it was Bharat who was batting at 6. Or Rishabh Pant who was batting at 6. But now he's taking the responsibility, like Cameron Green for Australia batting at #6. If you have somebody who can bat and score Test hundreds at #6 and come and also take fifers like Jadeja does, then you've got a match winner on your hands.
Now today we saw the Indian bowlers bowl a lot of bouncers. What is a well-directed bouncer?
Probably in and around the waist, the ribs. Anything above your head, really, players just duck out of the way. It's deliveries. And what the likes of Labuschagne and Rahane and Smith have done is said that I'll put that behind me. I've taken a blow, I've gloved it, I'll put it behind me, I'll play the next delivery.
Let's ask a man who's faced multiple bouncers all his life and faced him like a pro, possibly without a helmet on most occasions, Saniji. What sort of a challenge is it for batters to face these kind of bouncers?
Well, I think the bouncer by itself is not so much of a challenge because you know that where the ball is going to be pitching and you're sort of prepared for it. It's the ball that gets up from a length, which is the more challenge, and that is what we are seeing happening on this surface. It's the odd ball that is climbing off a length that is causing the problems, and so I think that is, and we're talking about when India are going to be batting, we're talking about a 4th afternoon, 4th evening or a 5th day pitch. So that's not going to be easy, and which is the reason it's very, very important for the Indians not to be looking at a mountain to chase. You know, anything around 400, maybe 420, you still give yourself a bit of a hope, because if you look at the history of Indian cricket, they've had lots of 400 plus chases. Not all of them have been successful, but they've been able to get that. So I think they have to make sure that it doesn't go beyond like 450, which will mean that the Australians can keep catching fielders everywhere and not give Indians a chance.
But you know what it is like to chase 400 plus runs. You've done it against the West Indies in the 1970s. But is this a good strategy for the Indian bowling team to follow?
Short stuff?
Yeah.
I think they bowled pretty well, really. I think in the first innings when it was green, they bowled too short. But as the game progresses, I think you have to run in and hit the deck hard because of the uneven nature. You know, if I was in the Australian camp, they have to win this game. If they're 2 years hard work and boss this game, they don't want to be giving India even a sniff for the draw. So I don't think it's a disaster for Australia if they're bowled out in this session, because they need to get on to win the game. It's not going to be easy to get another 10 Indian wickets. Batters, it's been over 1,000 runs scored or whatever in the game, so get on with bowling pretty soon.
Look, Alex Carey and Mitchell Starc are still at the crease. How crucial will Alex Carey be for the Australian team? And will India look to dismiss him early on?
Yes, there's a bit of turn, and India will need to get him out early, because there will be, at the lunch interval, there'll be a lot of discussion in the Australian change room how to approach the next hour. And Alex Carey is going to be crucial, because if he takes the attack to the opposition, to the Indian bowlers, and suddenly scores 30-40 runs in that first half an hour, 45 minutes, match is gone from India's end.
Yeah, you can see how challenging these conditions are to play in, to keep your wicket, to hold your ground, which is why we've got a very special segment on Star Labs that talks about the art of being successful in conditions like these that offer uneven bounce, swing, seam, and so much more. Time from now, let's check out our hero top stories for the moment.
Crosses the 350-run mark.
Well, that's how things stand on day 4 of the WTC final between India and Australia after session 1. Deep Das Gupta joins us on Jindal Panther Cricket Live. How do you think India are placed at the moment, Deep?
Let's be honest, Australia is way ahead in this game. There's no two ways about it. If you look at this session, particularly in isolation, I'd say India bowled really well. Couple of wickets, stopped the flow of runs as well. I thought they were very, very disciplined. But in the context of the game, obviously, with Australia almost 400 runs ahead, with 4 wickets to go, they're definitely way ahead in this game.
The earlier show when we spoke, Naz, you said that anything above 370 would be really hard to get from India's perspective. Do you stick with that even now?
Absolutely. History just tells you that. The pitch throughout, showing uneven bounce. It will spin more. The only thing in India's favour is the 10 right-handers, and only Jadeja is the left-hander. So all this spin you're seeing for Jadeja now, the best part of the pitch is still pretty good. Unless Stark starts bowling long spells, obviously Stark will create some footholds for Nathan Lyon and those right-handers. You never write off this Indian side, but you're asking me which dressing room would I rather be in? Runs on the board every single time. Australia bossing this game at the moment.
Well, if there's one man who wants to get out there in the middle and show the world what he's got, it's Virat Kohli. You know he loves these situations. You know he loves to come out on top during these big, grand occasions. But here's Virat Kohli getting a little candid with us and sharing a few snippets from his childhood. That's just fantastic, wasn't it, Naz? You've seen Virat Kohli since 2014, his first tour to England, and the man that he's grown up to be today, the legend that he is today. Were there sparks of brilliance even back then?
Yeah, I worked with Duncan Fletcher, the former England coach and Indian coach, and I remember sitting at home and Duncan texted me saying, Nas, I've got this lad that you would have loved to have played with. His attention to detail, his attention to practice, his attention to fitness. In any sport, football, cricket, whatever, he wants to win. He'll win from any situation. So I kept a close eye on him. I interviewed him when Dhoni hit that 6 in the World Cup and he was carrying Sachin round on his shoulders, and that great line, Sachin's carried Indian cricket for the last 15, 20 years. And you just think this lad's going to be special. Some of the innings he's played, that World Cup final, semi-final knock, against Pakistan, various knocks in run chases. He has just been outstanding in run chases around the world. So I think he is a great. He will always be a great. And his main thing is every single innings there is attention to detail. He gives it absolutely everything.
And that's what we want from the Indian team, don't we? Thank you so much for your time, Naz, as we head into the next session. Session 2 on day 4 of the ultimate test between India and Australia. The Indian bowlers have a lot of work to do, but can they pull this off? Live action coming to you on the other side. Kennington Oval. You can see disappointment, but is it warranted is something that we will talk about on Jindal Panther Cricket Live. Sunny Gavaskar also joins us in just a bit. That wicket of Shubman Gill. How much of a setback was that, Sunny Ji?
Big setback because, when you're chasing a big score like 444, you need a good start. You need a start of, maybe 200, 150. But that the TV umpire couldn't actually see that it was conclusive evidence to overturn the on-field umpire's decision.
Yeah, but what about the captain, Rohit Sharma? He certainly has big shoes to fill. This is the 50th test he is playing for India, and he leads India in the World Test Championship final. What is he thinking? How should he approach this steep chase?
Well, he's a natural stroke player, and I think he's got to play the natural game. Yes, they would at this. Then, he will have taken a big step for the other batters to go and complete the job.
Yeah, let's just remind you that he also made a resilient 127 right here at the Kennington Oval in 2021 against England. But you know what? The fans are cheering for Team India all the way through, irrespective of however improbable the target is. Especially some little ones who had a whole lot of fun. Lovely to see those smiling faces. They cheer on for Team India, wanting the world's #1 Test team to come out on top. But on the other hand, the Aussies, they put together another 68 runs in the previous session, the first hour of that session. Particularly, our MRF drives of the day belong to them. How disappointed will India be that they let those partnerships
not be one? It can at least, you can at least save it because you've got the batting potential to do it. You know, somebody like a Cheteshwar Pujara, if he can come in and say to himself, this is bed and breakfast for me. I'm going to sit here, bed and breakfast, right till the end, whether we take India home or whether we take India to safety.
And that's going to need some intense batting prowess. Somebody like you who's shown that time and time again on this very ground where you also have a double century. How do you construct your innings?
Well, I think take it ball by ball. Don't think too far ahead. Don't think at all in terms of targets. You think in terms of sessions. You want to play the session. You want to play now. This is going to be another 2-hour session, maybe a 2.5-hour session, because obviously with the overs not being bowled in time, you will play another extra half an hour. So you're looking at that 2.5-hour session. Do not think how many runs you need. The runs will come with the kind of batting ability that the Indian team has, the stroke playing ability that the Rohit Sharma has. The runs will come. You have to just think in terms of session. Don't set targets. Don't say, I've got to score 100 runs in this 2.5 hours or 150 runs in 2.5 hours. Just stay there. Stay to make sure that I'm going to play. If the ball is a half volley, I will hit it. If the ball is short, I'll play the cut shot, pull shot. I will play each ball on its merits. But say to myself that I want to stay there right till the end of the day's play.
Yeah, but particularly on Rohit Sharma, we've established that he likes playing at the Oval. What are the challenges that he needs to watch out for?
Well, just the fact that there's sometimes, a lapse of concentration. There's sometimes, the anxiety to sort of, keep getting going. He's a natural stroke player, so he's not one of those players who can be kept quiet for a long time, or who likes to be kept quiet. So if there are a few maidens bowled, he's the kind of player who will look to try and go the aerial route. And then maybe sometimes when you're not in form, when you're in form, that's not a problem because then you will connect properly. When you're not in form, sometimes you don't hit it properly and you get out. So to me, it is just a question of looking at the ball, reacting. That's your muscle memory. That is what has got you to this level. The fact that you have reacted with the ball. In T20 cricket, you play a lot of premeditated shots. In one-day cricket, also you play a lot of premeditated shots. In Test cricket, you don't really need to, and certainly not in a situation like this. You play according to each delivery, you can still get to the total that they've set you.
Let's talk about a man who has 117 Test wickets against India, Nathan Lyon. How difficult is it going to be for the Indian batters to face him? What should they watch out?
Well, luckily there are not too many batters who are left-handed from the Indian team apart from Ravindra Jadeja. So there's no rough for them to worry about. But I think it's also important because he's the kind of bowler who does not really need a rough. We saw him in the first innings also get a little bit of turn. So I think you just got to make sure that you do not let him get on top. He's somebody who once he gets on top, then he's very difficult to get away. So you want to sort of, use your feet, you get to the pitch of the ball. Pujara will do that. Pujara always, when Nathan Lyon comes in, he's down the pitch straight away looking to, get as close to the ball. So don't give him the purchase that he's looking for. And then he will then start to bowl a little short. You can then cut him, you can pull him. I know it sounds easy, but at the end of the day, I mean, that's got to be your mindset.
Well, everything is easy for you, Sunnyji. You've done this time and time again effortlessly. You mentioned how Cheteshwar Pujara will face Nathan Lyon and what he needs to watch out for. But let's just dig a little deeper and get into that battle because Nathan Lyon has dismissed Cheteshwar Pujara 13 times. Most amount of dismisses that a bowler has against a batter in Test. So will that play on Pujara's mind?
Not at all. I think Pujara is the kind of batter who would not be worried about that. Pujara will be worried if somebody like a Mitchell Stark gets him out regularly, somebody like a Pat Cummins gets him out regularly. Then he will be just a little bit more concerned. But I don't think he's going to be too concerned about Nathan Lyon. Certainly not on this pitch. If the ball was turning, yes, but the ball is not turning.
At the start of the next session, would you like to see any of the Indian batters play the aggressor, or would you just like them to hold their wickets for now?
No, I think I just want them to play the session. The runs will come naturally. Like I said, they are natural stroke players. So play each ball on its merits, and then there should be no problems.
And how should they face the quicks? What is your advice for them?
Same. Don't go for the extravagant shot, like, playing the pull shot too often, because, pull shot is something that you don't always have control on. But otherwise, be very, very certain where your off stump is.
Who would Australia open the bowling with?
I think they will continue to bowl with Stark and Cummins and maybe even Boland.
All right, okay. Any words of advice from you to them at this point in time, the Indian team, Sanuji?
Believe in yourself. Just believe in yourself. The pitch is still good. The odd ball will cock up, no problem. Just believe in yourself and stick till the end. Maybe one wicket down at the end of the day, the Australians will be worried.
Fantastic. This is going to be absolutely amazing. The penultimate day of the ultimate test. India need 403 runs, 9 wickets in hand. And Virat Kohli must be licking his lips in anticipation. Your predictions for this session, Sanuji?
My prediction, well, my hope more than prediction, is that India don't lose a wicket right till the end of the day.
All right. Okay. And how many runs do you expect to see?
I think about 80 or 90 runs today.
80 or 90 runs. Okay, we lead up to the final session on day 4 of the ultimate test. This is where world number 1 will face off against world number 2. The stage is set. We need a record chase. But the 12th match, epic clash on the last day of the World Test Championship final between India and Australia. Welcome back to Jindal Panther Cricket Live. We've got the former India coach with us, Ravi Shastri, and I have to say I'm taken back to 2021 when we breached the Gaba fortress for the very first time and had our names etched in history. Are we all set to witness history in the making yet again, Ravi?
Well, very much a possibility. This game throws up strange things. Strange things have happened in this game. It has to be a world record chase. What's amazed me though is the way the pitches behave. And India will be kicking themselves really. Rohit Sharma, Pujara were playing the shots they did. They were poor shots. And when they were batting beautifully, the pitch has eased out. The sting has gone, at least for today, which made batting a lot easier. And the way Virat Kohli and Ajinkya Rahane batted, they've been in no trouble whatsoever. The fluency is there. They've scored quite easily. So now it's a case of coming out tomorrow and weathering the storm in that first session of play, because that's the session for me. Because if there's any sting in the surface, it will be in that 80 minutes of that session once the effect of the roller dies out.
Ravi, what were your exact words to the team on day 5, the final day of the Gaba test?
I think it would be to play normal cricket, treat the bowling on merit. Don't set yourself big targets. Take it one session at a time. Don't think what's going to happen at the end of it or how much you need to win. One session at a time, play normal cricket. Both these guys are stroke players. They bat well with each other. And when they're together, the strike rotates, which is good because the scoreboard then ticks along. The opposition is kept under pressure the longer they stay.
Our Ultratech number 1 performer of the day is Virat.
One after the other. Whether it happens tomorrow, it doesn't happen tomorrow. But there's going to be a time, very soon where there'll be a purple patch because he's reached now. He's again getting there with the technique, with the way he was 3 years ago, where you could get 500-600s coming in very quickly.
And that chance to beat Australia in a final. How much would that fire him up, Ravi?
Oh, that is, he'll be charged up. He's in there batting 40. He knows a chance of even going the distance and, breaking all records.
Yeah, India just need 280 runs stand between them and that ICC maze. But you spoke about the wickets that fell. Do you think it was because of that scoreboard pressure, that immense... Former head coach of Australia joins us on Jindal Panther Cricket Live, Justin Langer. Justin, tell us, what is your assessment of both teams and their performance at the end of day 4?
Well, I love the fact we're going into day 5 of a test match and the game's still on. We saw some mistakes in the end. I agree with what Ravi said. The Rohit Sharma dismissal surprised me because he was playing so well. And then the Pujara one. He has caused Australians so much heartache over the years. His concentration is unbelievable. And I thought there was a little lapse of concentration there from both of them, which keeps Australia well and truly on top.
Justin must be saying, why didn't you play that shot 3 years earlier?
Right.
Twice you should have played it.
He probably wished for a lot of those from Cheteshwar Pujara. 3 wickets have fallen for Team India, but 1 wicket has caused an uproar in social media. Was Shubman Gill out or not out?
Shubman Gill out or not out?
Let's ask our experts straight up. Was he out or not out, Rafi?
See, now I'm going to wear 2 hats here. One, Richard Kettleborough, if I saw what I saw there as a third umpire, it's very difficult to say that the ball hit the ground because you see the two fingers underneath it. But if you see actual angles, I always say because the camera is at this angle.
Yeah.
If the camera is at ground angle, then you can actually see, if the finger is touching the ground or if the ball is touching the grass. I've always believed when it comes up with two fingers, when two fingers go down at this angle, the chances of the ball touching the ground are much more as opposed to three fingers where the fingers come under the ball. So from what I can see there, more often than that's the one. That's the one. Two fingers, when they freeze on that, I feel a lot of times it touches the ground.
Justin, there was no soft signal. The video footage was inconclusive. Who should the benefit of the doubt have gone to?
An opinion for Cameron Green. He's a very honest lad. He's a great athlete to even get to that point. But look, at the moment it's out because Richard Kettleborough gave it out.
And let's not forget, he's got giant fingers. He's a big fellow. And you can see the angle of the fingers. It's under the ball. You've got the thumb on top. The fingers are wrapped around the ball. So even with that two finger split, it's not too much.
Yeah.
But because of those giant fingers, Richard Kettleborough, I know where he's come from.
Yeah, this particular debate will carry on, but there's no debate in the way Nathan Lyon dismissed the Indian captain. He, of course, is a part of our Amazon Prime smart move for the day. He saw
one of my favourite players, Rohit Sharma. I love watching him bat, but I think that was a lapse in concentration. Didn't execute the shot and paid the penalty.
And he would know it. He would be gutted. I mean, the way he was batting, it was coming so, as it is, he's so easy on the eye. The runs were coming easily, the boundaries were flowing, and to give it away, he'll be most disappointed.
Yeah, he was batting on 43 of 60 deliveries. He certainly will be crushed, but the stage is set for an epic day 5 in the Ultimate Test.
Ultimate Test.
Thank you so much for sticking around on Jindal Panther Cricket Live. I'm with Justin Langer and Ravi Shastri, who are friends today, but not so much in the year 2021 when India toured Australia. It looks like history could repeat itself. India just need about 280 runs with Virat Kohli and Ajinkya Rahane, who will come out to bat tomorrow on the day 5 of the Ultimate Test. The past may come back to haunt you.
Well, you never know, and there's certainly scars. I mean, we talk about the Gabba Test, where Rishabh Pant went mad and it was a brilliant run chase. But I remember the test before that as well, the SCG, when we got into came into the last day, we were certain we'd win that test match and we couldn't bowl India out. They were so dogged, they were so determined. So then we go into the Gabba and of course that amazing run chase. So I still have nightmares about it. Ravi still has dreams about it, and we'll see tomorrow who has dreams or nightmares by the end of the day's play.
Thank you so much for sharing that so honestly and openly with us, Justin. That's what we love about this man, don't we? But we also love another man in our nation, Ravi Shastri. Who could it be but Virat Kohli out there in the middle? It's almost like it's written in the stars.
On Leeds a couple of years ago, great players produce miracles, and while he's there, Australia will not relax.
Yeah.
With great power comes great responsibility. That's the well-known saying, isn't it? Will we take that responsibility and convert it into a powerful win for Team India? Will we end that 10-year drought and finally bring back home an ICC trophy? We'll know all that tomorrow on day 5 of the Ultimate Test. Thank you so much for chatting with us, Justin and Ravi. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back at 2 p.m. on Jindal Panther Cricket Live.